Chapter 4. Why you think the way you think. Points हैं 4. Point 1. My thoughts seem to come from nowhere. Second point. I do not choose what to think. Thoughts occur by themselves. Third. Thoughts do not mean much to me. They just come and go. Fourth. Thoughts arise from the brain or the heart. Are you familiar with such statements? Having visited the engine room of our inner world, we have learned that thoughts are created in our mind and that our every thought is our own choice. We have also understood that changing our thoughts changes our destiny. But for us to change our thoughts, we need to be aware of the very basis of thought creation. What are the raw materials available for our mind to create thoughts? Heading: The 3 doorways to your thoughts. Have you wondered how someone is able to think positively in the toughest of situations, while someone else thinks negatively even in a perfect scenario? Why do our minds work so differently? The difference is caused by these 3 sources which our mind uses to create thoughts. First, the beliefs we hold. Second, the content we consume. Third, the past experiences we carry. To gain more control over our thought patterns, let us check how these 3 sources influence our mind. Then it becomes easy to know the root cause for either purity or toxicity in our thoughts. Source 1. The beliefs you hold. A belief is an idea that we hold and consider to be the truth. Our ability to think and reason leads us to believe some things and disbelieve other things based on experiments, experiences, and conditioning. Consciously or unconsciously, we have gathered thousands of beliefs across nearly every aspect of life. All our beliefs are ingrained in the subconscious mind. On the basis of these beliefs, thoughts are created in the conscious layer of our mind. Examples of a few beliefs we might be holding are: first, I am too thin. Next, she is the best person in the world. Next, people are so rude these days. Next, life is a competition. Next, stress is normal. Next, expectations are natural. Next, gratitude is the best attitude. Next, the world is no longer a nice place. It is important to be aware of our belief systems because beliefs lead us all the way to our destiny. Take a few minutes to write what you believe about yourself, your body, your family, your life, and the world around you. Thereafter, you can keep adding to the list. The mind assumes that our beliefs are the absolute truth. We become convinced about them even if certain beliefs make us uncomfortable. We gather many layers of beliefs, particularly during our formative years. Show a 2-year-old a chair and tell him it is a table. He will believe it to be a table. But for how long will he continue to do that? Perhaps until someone else corrects him, or maybe until he learns at school that it is a chair. That day he will change his belief about that piece of furniture. This is a simple example, but the same logic applies even to the profound beliefs we hold. For instance, tell a young child that she is no good. She will believe it until someone shows her how capable she is. It is important to note that we do change our beliefs from time to time. When labels become beliefs. Heading: When labels become beliefs. Whenever you think of a relative, friend, or colleague, do you associate that person with labels such as arrogant, timid, dishonest, weak, wise, and so on? Our perceptions about certain people leads us to create either positive or negative labels for them. These labels then become the mental filter or lens through which we see them. The risk of labeling someone is that more often than not, they start viewing themselves through those labels. They embrace our beliefs about who they are. This means labels become beliefs. As a result, they then start living by the labels they receive. The vibrations of labels we give radiate to them and trigger more of that particular behavior or habit in them. For instance, if we repeatedly label people as dishonest, we reinforce the sanskar of dishonesty in them. When this label becomes their belief, it impacts their thoughts and thereby their destiny. We therefore become instrumental in altering that person's destiny in a negative way. Without realizing this, we say, I just spoke the truth. That person is indeed dishonest. When we perceive people through the labels we attribute to them, eventually we draw the vibrations of that label into our own energy field. Everyone has admirable qualities. Focusing on them, magnifying them, and attributing positive labels to the person who displays these qualities will uplift other people and elevate our thinking as well. But by labeling people negatively, we lower our vibrations and disempower them. Therefore, it is important to take care of what we believe about others, especially children, and how we label them. Children who learn everything about the world from parents, teachers, and other elders also learn about themselves from these people. Here are examples of common labels assigned to children. Here are some points. You are a troublemaker. Why are you so cranky all the time? Stop being such a crybaby. My son is too picky. You are extremely talented. My children are athletic. My students are brilliant. You are always sincere. And the last one, my son is humble. You might ask, if a child is fussy, what else should I label him? The golden rule is, do not create a label for who they are, create a label for who you want them to be. Don't we know about parents and teachers creating miracles with children? Simplify by reinforcing positive labels. A mother received a complaint that her 5-year-old son does not speak to anyone in the class. Instead of asking, why are you introverted? She lovingly said to her son with belief and conviction, you are so friendly that your classmates want to talk to you. It is perfectly fine that you were quiet today. Tomorrow, show them your new lunchbox and share your meal with everyone. I will pack extra food. She consciously kept labeling her son as friendly, cordial, and sociable in her thoughts and words. Within a week, her son made 2 friends. Next point. A teacher observed that her student was particularly lazy and decided to change her approach. She said to him, you are so diligent. From today, you will be the class representative. I am sure you will enjoy the additional responsibilities. Believing in his abilities, she motivated him daily with labels such as agile, active, enthusiastic, quick, and lively. She even gave him appreciation stickers in front of his classmates. The student did not even realize how soon he overcame laziness. The next time you find yourself judging other people, pause and tell yourself, I believe everyone is pure and powerful. I apply only empowering labels on them. Have you been given negative labels by people around you? Do you choose to label yourself as who you are or are not based on your appearance, background, personality, or achievements? Just as people see us through their perceptions, we also see ourselves through certain labels that we put on the self. Remember, they are just labels that reflect a belief. Even if a negative label has become your belief system and a part of your personality, it is just a belief. And a belief can be changed. Our labels affect our destiny. Let us replace every single negative label we have on ourselves with a pure, powerful, and positive label. Let us make them a part of our vocabulary and repeat them consistently for a few days until those positive labels become our identity. To create the reality you want, begin with assigning only the highest energy labels to yourself. Choose the labels of who you want to be in reality. Here are a few labels you can apply on yourself. Here are some points. I am always calm. I am always respectful. I do whatever I decide to do. I complete all my tasks before time. I am perfect in everything I do. I am always successful. Remind yourself, I label myself only and only with positive words. I am aware that my labels are my belief systems which manifest my destiny. Take a moment to change at least one negative belief about yourself. Heading: Evaluate your beliefs. We are entitled to have beliefs we want about ourselves, about the people in our life, about our circumstances, or about the world. It is our prerogative. It is our prerogative. However, it is important to believe what is right, what is true, and what is healthy. Consider the belief a good diet, exercise, and sleep are the pillars of well being. When the mind believes this, it creates thoughts such as some points here. Let me eat for health and not for taste. I will not miss my regular exercises. I should get adequate and good quality sleep each night. But if we hold on to the belief, eat, drink, and be merry, our thoughts will be along the lines of some points. Just offer me pizza and fries and I will eat them instantly. I have no time for a workout. Let me sacrifice sleep and enjoy binge watching my favorite show tonight. We transmit our belief systems to people around us, especially to family, colleagues, and friends. Our belief system can become the belief system of others because of three reasons. Point 1: we live our life through that belief, so they start embracing it. Next, we advise or try to convince people that it is right. Next, we repeatedly radiate the vibration of that belief to people through our thoughts, words, and behavior, so they get influenced to accept it. There is a para in column. It is important to check whether our beliefs allow us to remain happy, healthy, and loving. Sometimes we don't like our beliefs being challenged, but it helps to re-evaluate if our beliefs are empowering or depleting us. Let a belief system just remain a belief and not your truth until you experiment with it. To know if a particular belief is right, check if it conforms to these 4 criteria. Ask yourself. Point 1. Does this belief make me emotionally stronger? Next. Does it make me mentally and physically healthier? Next. Is it creating harmony in my relationships? Next and last. Is it making my life simpler? If these 4 criteria are fulfilled, the belief is comfortable and worth its weight in gold. You can hold on to it as the truth. Beliefs requiring course correction. Consider these opposite pairs of beliefs. In each case, check if your belief matches option 1 or 2. यहाँ 10 पॉइंट्स दिए हुए हैं जिसमें ऑप्शन 1 और ऑप्शन 2 है. फर्स्ट पॉइंट, ऑप्शन 1, situations affect my state of mind. Option 2, I create my thoughts in response to situations. Second, option 1, everything happens as per God's will. Option 2, my karmas create my destiny. Third, I will be happy when I reach my goal. Option 2, I am happy while working towards my goal. Fourth, option 1, stress is normal. Option 2, pressures are normal, I face them with ease. Fifth, option 1, happiness can be bought. Option 2, comforts are bought, happiness is a state of mind. Sixth, I need love. Option 2, I am love, I radiate love. Seventh, anger is necessary. Option 2, compassion and empathy are necessary. Eighth, expectations from people are natural. Option 2, accepting people is natural. Ninth, values do not work in today's world. Option 2, values work every single time. 10th, it is the nature of the mind to be fickle. Other option, the mind can be disciplined to remain stable. Let us evaluate 2 of the beliefs listed in the above table. You may thereafter analyze the others and embrace the right belief. Belief 1. Option 1, situations affect my state of mind. Today, external situations are more uncertain than ever. If we make our state of mind dependent on them, then our reactions also become uncertain. Wasteful thoughts will be created, such as, how can I be at peace when this situation is not favorable? I fear losing my job or taking a pay cut, or the weather is so depressing. Questioning why, where, when or how will make us live a life of dependency, blame and vulnerability. Option 2, I create my thoughts in response to situations. External situations are only a stimulus. Our response is always our choice. Whatever the present moment contains, we have the power to accept it and shift our focus from the problem towards a solution. Our response depends on who we are, our nature and our personality. We need to detach ourselves from the energy of the situation, connect to our inner self and choose a response that benefits everyone involved in that situation. Belief 2. Option 1, I will be happy when I reach my goal. Whether it is grades, qualifications, designation or status, our goals give us direction. But if we tie happiness to goals, we will say, I will be happy when I achieve this. If we postpone our happiness to an imaginary point in the future when a desire will be fulfilled, we will give ourselves the permission to create other feelings, stress, anger, fear, insecurity, jealousy until we reach the goal. Option 2, I am happy working towards my goal. This belief helps us to know that happiness is not dependent on anything outside, but is a conscious choice we make. Happiness then becomes the way we respond to every situation that comes in the way of reaching our goal. We realize that goals are in our doing, while the being bracket में self experiences happiness along the journey. Your past experiences or the beliefs of other people might suggest that option 1 often seems to be the norm in all the example scenarios. But if you experiment with option 2, you might realize they are right. To be sure, pass each option through the 4 criteria discussed earlier. Does it make you emotionally stronger, mentally and physically healthier, create harmony in relationships, and make life simpler? Continue to experiment with option 2 for a few more days. If it still feels right, that belief gradually becomes stronger and gets ingrained in your way of living. A belief remains an abstract concept until we experiment with it. Only when we experience a favorable result does the belief become the truth for us. Source 2, the content you consume. The information or content we feed into the mind constitutes the second source for the generation of our thoughts. Every piece of information we consume, whether important or not, and whether we pay attention to it or not, becomes a source for our thoughts. This means everything that we hear, watch, read, write, and converse about is information for the mind. It is our emotional diet. Once it is taken in, the information gets absorbed in the mind. It becomes our vibration, our energy, just like the food we eat becomes our nutrition, the energy of the body. Suppose your child does not return from school at the usual time and her friends do not know her whereabouts. What thoughts come to your mind? Are they thoughts of calmness and faith, such as these? Here are 4 points. She might be talking to friends and has forgotten to call me. Next, I am sure she is in the library working on her new project. Next, her bicycle might have broken down. I am sure she is fine. Next, God's blessings of protection are with her. She will be home any moment now. Congratulations if your thought pattern is along the lines of optimism. It means while you make efforts to check on your child's well being, internally you remain powerful and stable. Unfortunately, most parents tend to create thoughts of fear and anxiety similar to these. यहाँ पर 4 points और हैं. First, what if my child is involved in an accident? Next, I was too harsh yesterday when she told me about her grades. Is she scared to come home? Next, there are so many cases of child abduction these days. I am so worried. Next, I know it is not permitted, but maybe I should give her a mobile phone. The mind is drawn into negativity quickly, believing it to be normal. As is often the case, your child returns home safely. Even though you are relieved to see her, chances are you do not remain calm. Your temperament and harsh words lead to arguments. If you reflect on the incident later, your mind thinks of the reason for the arguments and blames the child. Actually, your child is not at fault. Rather, it is the fault of your pent up negative thoughts created while waiting for her. Do you pause to ask yourself why negative thoughts came so naturally to you and what is influencing your response to scenes of daily life? Although we know it is not right, we often think negatively or react impulsively because of the influence of the information we consume. Ask yourself, how much information do I consume per day? Assuming you sleep for 8 hours a day, it means you are awake for 16 hours. When you are awake, your mind is constantly fed with information since you engage in activities like hearing, watching, speaking, or reading. This translates to approximately 16 hours or 66% of your waking hours a day being spent in consuming information. So, you are continuously either creating information or consuming it. Today, there is no end to the information served to us. There is always another notification on the phone to clear, another news headline to catch up on TV, another tweet to read, another post to like, another email to answer, etc. While it gives us an illusion of being well informed, we are only wasting time endlessly trying to keep up with the deluge of data. Heading: Curation is the key. Pure, positive, and good news far outweigh the negative incidents occurring across the world. Useful and encouraging content is always available, but not everything can be reported. It is not possible to have a news headline reading, over 5 million people reached home safely after work yesterday. Whereas 5 arrested, 3 abduction cases solved is reported, and rightly so. The negative energy of such information gets imprinted in people's minds and is largely the reason for parents to readily think of an accident or abduction when children do not return on time. Even in the name of entertainment, the quality of content we consume has become questionable. If we are consuming content which has ego, lust, greed, aggression, fear, hatred, and other such negative emotions, then it is natural for these vibrations to dictate the quality of our thoughts. Choosing the content you consume is as important as choosing what you eat, if not more. Be aware and make informed choices. Not knowing something may not necessarily equate to ignorance, but knowing what to know is wisdom. कॉलम में एक पैरा है पूरा. For those of us who grew up in an era when the first TV, the first computer, and the first phone made their way into our homes, our content consumption was minimal. Until then, we were entertained or informed just by books from the school or college library, the newspaper, and the conversations we picked up from adults at home. Look at how technology has overpowered our lives only because we have become enslaved to it instead of controlling it. First point, back in the day, there were fewer television channels. TV shows aired just one episode of a show per week. Today, with streaming services and over the top platforms, people can choose what to watch and when. This has led to a rise in binge watching. Next point, in the past, cell phones were used only for calls and text messages. Today, they have become an indispensable part of life. Checking notifications every other minute has led to overuse and distracts us from important tasks. It has been acknowledged that several applications on the phone are designed to manipulate our mind, to entice us and keep us hooked. Next point, social media platforms were created to connect us, but most of us are using them to seek social validation. We post a message and wait patiently or impatiently for people to notice, like, and approve of it. More likes make us feel worthy. Otherwise, we suffer from low self-esteem. Many of us do not sleep on time because we want to catch up on a favorite show online. We do not eat right because of surfing TV channels at meal times. We deprive ourselves of rest because of mindless scrolling. We do not spend time with our family because we are busy liking and commenting on social media posts. Indulgence in media and social media is aggravating our sanskars of aggression, jealousy, worry, fear, criticism, hatred, comparison, and competition. We then respond to scenes of life through these sanskars. Can you see the correlation between content and your well being? Can you see how content is affecting your happiness, health, and relationships? In the last 20 years, we have created a world where diabetes, depression, cancer, and divorce have become common. Content has a huge role to play in all this. Let us internalize. Content is equal to thoughts is equal to destiny. Curate the content you consume so as to avoid any negative information that can lead to thoughts of stress, worry, anxiety, aggression, or fear. More importantly, carry a book containing empowering messages or save positive messages and talks on your phone. The, mo- the moment you feel disturbed or low, immediately read or listen to them. Even a 5-minute intake of elevated information stops the series of negative thoughts. The message might even give you a solution. This instant nourishment strengthens the soul and gives you the power to create a positive response. It can act as your emotional first aid kit. Source 3. The past experiences you carry. The third source for our thoughts is our bundle of past experiences and memories. Rewind your memory slightly and replay the scenes of the last few days on the screen of your mind. A lot must have happened. Most scenes would perhaps be beautiful, pleasant, and worthwhile. There could also be an experience you wish to put aside. Did someone not behave rightly with you? Did you carry it in your mind when you went to sleep that night? Reflect if you told yourself, what was the need for him to be so rude? He could have said it softly instead of creating such a scene. I should not have kept quiet. I should have retaliated. What you did just now is that you consciously went into the past. Was it useful? No, because the painful memory disturbed your peaceful mind. Oftentimes, when in the middle of a task or even when we are idle, several memories flood our mind, and then we rewind all the more to recall all aspects of each memory. What happened, where it happened, who were involved, what they did, how we responded. We also wish that some things should have panned out differently. Usually, an unreasonable duration of time elapses before we realize we were lost in our thoughts and return to the present. The incident is long over, but we are unnecessarily reliving it. Just as everything has its place, the past also has one. It belongs in the past. Drop your emotional baggage. My parents love my sister more. They celebrated her 5th birthday, but not mine. My friend hated that I was possessive about her. I should have been careful. I will never forget the humiliation I faced during the university admission interview. Who we were, what we did, our successes, our failures, our strengths, and our weaknesses have all together shaped us into who we are today. Our subconscious mind is like a bank or cupboard that has stocked up every single memory as a recording or impression, second by second as it all happened. These memories are used by our conscious mind as the input to create thoughts. It might be fine. It might be fine to open our mental cupboard occasionally and reminisce about the good times and enjoy pleasant memories. But we need to be cognizant that many of our past memories are not useful. Some of them are emotionally damaging as well. Thinking of them is a waste of mental space, time, and energy. We could have memories that are so bitter that recalling them can ruin our present and future. Let us stop entertaining negative or wasteful memories of pain, resentment, hurt, blame, anger, or fear. We have the power to control the working of our mind. We can exercise discretion over the thoughts we want to stop, the thoughts we want to relive, and the thoughts we intend to carry into the future. Our past can have a far reaching impact on our future. We cannot change what happened, but we can choose what to carry with us going forward. We often do not realize the burden of the emotional baggage we are carrying, of our ignorance, pain, anger, attachments, expectations, wrong habits, and people's opinions. Unpleasant past experiences are recorded in our minds in these ways. Why did this happen to me? How can I ever be happy? I am destined for a life of pain and suffering. I keep getting rejected. No one needs me, etc. This means we have allowed our mind to stand in the way of our progress. If we do not let go of the past pain, we will create the same emotions each time the same or a similar stimulus comes up. This repeated reliving of pain will take a toll on our happiness and health. It is certainly important that we acknowledge and take responsibility for our past, the rights, wrongs, mistakes, failures, and pleasant and painful memories. Accountability helps us to reconcile with whatever has happened so that we do not live in denial. We do not let the negativity haunt us. We will also be able to learn from past situations to become wiser and stronger. Having said that, we do not need to live imprisoned in the past. Leave the past behind. Our life experiences are recorded as memories. So, we cannot just magically flush them out of our system and get rid of them. But what we can certainly do is overwrite past memories by creating new recordings that make us happy, peaceful, loving, and forgiving. Moving into the future with less emotional baggage is a choice. In our own experience, we have already given considerable thought to expressions like forgive and forget, let go and move on, and seize the present moment. But we have not applied these lines when a particular memory strikes. We have lost the present moment by brooding over something which ceases to exist. We are aware of our innate beautiful qualities. Now we are also aware and convinced that our impulsive reactions to unpleasant incidents are our own creation. No one else hurt, insulted, ignored, angered, or troubled us. They just said or did what they felt was right. But it was our wrong thoughts and reactions that created the emotional wound. Today, we can heal the wound by creating right thoughts. We can stop blaming other people or situations involved in that incident. How liberating it is to know that we do not have to wait for someone to apologize or some situation to change in order to release our pain. We created the hurt and we can heal the self. This realization changes our perception about the unpleasant past, the people involved, their words, their behavior, and the situation. As we create more and more thoughts of acceptance, as we think more lovingly, the mind starts storing new recordings and memories. New recordings of compassion, love, and respect become reinforced. Consequently, the past wounds hurt less and less, and finally, they all get completely healed. The memory is still present in our mind, but it no longer hurts. This is similar to a physical wound we got in childhood, perhaps when we tripped and fell. Today, 10, 20, or 40 years later, the scare might still be visible on our body, but it does not hurt. We do not even think about it. We have forgotten about that wound because it is no longer obstructing our day to day activities. The same happens with emotional wounds. When it no longer hurts, it means forgiving, forgetting, and letting go and moving on have all already happened. Affirmations can also be used to heal past hurt. When the inner conversation of the past repeats in the mind, we can consciously create new thoughts. I understand their sanskar. The past is in the past. It's over. Full stop. I release, I let go, I forgive, I forget. Visualize the past impression leaving the subconscious mind. This can be done daily and repeatedly when the mind relives the past. Like we teach a child, we need to teach our mind to think right. Let us revisit the original thoughts of emotional baggage listed in the preceding section and change them to new right thoughts. Original thoughts. My parents love my sister more. They celebrated her 5th birthday and not mine. New thoughts. My parents have always loved my sister and me equally. They do their best for both of us, caring and supporting us unconditionally. I understand they had a reason for not celebrating my 5th birthday, though they wanted to. I know they have nothing but pure intentions for me. I release the past. I understand my parents. I respect them. I love my family. Original thoughts. My friend hated that I was possessive about her. I should have been careful. New thoughts. I love my friend. She cares for me. I care for her. I accept her as she is. I am emotionally independent. When she spends time with others, I do not compare or compete with anyone. I value my friendship. I need nothing from her. I only radiate love, care, and respect. Original thoughts. I will never forget the humiliation I faced during the university admission interview. New thoughts. I am a wise being. I achieve my goals. Sometimes I make a mistake. I know I did my best. I understand that it was their perspective, it was their emotional state. I appreciate their feedback. I radiate compassion for their criticism. The past is in the past. It is over. I take a determined decision to begin again. When the emotional wounds from the past haunt us, what can we do to release them? Just 5 simple steps, when followed systematically for a few days, will free us from bitter memories. Step 1. Identify the incident that you want to release. Step 2. Examine your thoughts about that situation, including how you think about the people involved in it. Step 3. Write down affirmations for it, similar to the examples shared above. Step 4. Repeat them slowly every night before sleeping. Your pain will reduce gradually. Step 5. Continue stating the affirmations until you experience that the incident no longer hurts you.